All right, welcome back to ABA Exam Review and the continuation of our BCBA practice question series where we're going through another set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass the exam, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. A behavior analyst wants to increase a student's time spent on task during independent work periods. The student can earn a reward by either completing a set number of problems correctly or by working continuously on those problems for a certain period of time without taking a break. What type of reinforcement schedule is the behavior analyst using? For your exam, you need to know both basic and compound reinforcement schedules. Compound schedules are made up of our basic schedules. When we have two or more basic reinforcement schedules working together, we have a compound schedule. So in this case, we need to identify what type of schedule we're using. Well, we know the analyst wants to increase a student's time spent on task. The first way the student can earn a reward or reinforcement is completing a set number of problems correctly. Now, what type of basic schedule would require a set number of problems correct? Well, most likely some sort of fixed ratio or variable ratio schedule. It's going to be a ratio schedule because it's based on the number of responses. Now, the second way the student can earn reinforcement is to work continuously for a certain period of time. And if we're working for a period of time, we have either a fixed interval or a variable interval schedule. So the student can either complete the ratio schedule or they can complete the interval schedule. What type of schedule allows the student to complete either or a ratio or interval schedule? A, multiple schedule. With multiple schedules, we have two or more schedules rotating or occurring randomly in some sort of sequence. That's not what's happening here. Both of these are occurring at the same time, and the student can complete either or the ratio or interval schedule. With B, a chained schedule, you have a set number of schedules or steps that have to occur in a certain order. These don't occur in a certain order, so we don't have a chained schedule. Now, what about C, a fixed interval schedule? Well, you could argue that we're looking at some sort of fixed interval schedule for a certain period of time, but since this is a compound schedule, we have to go a little further because we also have this ratio schedule available. And since we have both a ratio and an interval schedule available, and the client can complete either or, we're looking at D, an alternative schedule. The alternative schedule is either or a ratio or interval schedule. You're working with a child who frequently engages in self-injurious behavior when asked to complete non-preferred tasks. The behavior analyst has suggested using a differential reinforcement of other behavior strategy. Which of the following best describes how you would implement this intervention? The question is asking about how we're going to implement our intervention. And what is our intervention? It's going to be a DRO, differential reinforcement of other behavior. With differential reinforcement, you want to ask yourself, when am I reinforcing behavior and am I teaching a replacement? With the DRO, we're not teaching a replacement because with a DRO strategy, we're reinforcing in the absence of a behavior. We're reinforcing for behavior not occurring. So we're not teaching a replacement. We're not targeting anything new. We just want the behavior to not occur. So if we have a child who's engaging in self-injurious behavior when asked to complete non-preferred tasks, with a DRO, when would we reinforce? Well, we're going to reinforce when self-injurious behavior doesn't happen. Let's look at A. Reinforce the child only when they complete the non-preferred task without engaging in SIB. In a DRO, the important thing is not the alternative or the task, it's the behavior itself. We don't care about them completing the non-preferred task. We care about the self-injurious behavior not occurring at all. So B, provide reinforcement at fixed intervals if the child does not engage in SIB during those intervals, regardless of task completion. Because our goal isn't the task completion with the DRO. Our goal is to reduce something, which in this case would be self-injurious behavior. Even if they're not completing the task, because we're not worried about replacements, we're still going to reinforce if the child doesn't engage in that SIB. C, ignore the SIB and only reinforce the child when they ask for a break appropriately. Again, that's not our goal here. Our goal is for the SIB to not occur. And then D, remove all demands and only reinforce spontaneous, appropriate behaviors. Well, that doesn't target the self-injurious behavior whatsoever, so D is definitely out. If we're going to use an intervention such as a differential reinforcement of other behavior strategy, we need to know when we're reinforcing and what we're trying to accomplish. With the DRO, we're going to reinforce in the absence of a behavior because the main goal with the DRO is behavior reduction. We're not worried about replacements. We're just worried about reduction. A behavior analyst is working with a client who has a history of engaging in aggressive behavior when denied access to a preferred activity. The behavior analyst designs an intervention that involves teaching the client to request the activity appropriately and reinforcing this request while denying access if aggression occurs. This intervention is based on which of the following strategies? Now, this isn't an overly difficult question, but it's a little tricky to read if you're going quickly. And that's why we want to work slowly, and we always want to work on the question. We don't read the question once and jump to answer choices. You want to spend all your time on the question, understanding what is it asking you. So we're looking at the intervention and what strategy the intervention is based on. Well, we know the behavior analyst has a client who engages in aggression when denied access. The analyst wants an intervention that involves teaching the client to request appropriately and then reinforcing that request and denying access if aggression occurs. So immediately, you should be thinking differential reinforcement, right? We're reinforcing a replacement behavior, putting other things on extinction. Now, we have a prediction. Let's go to our answer choices. And we quickly see we don't have differential reinforcement available. Well, that's okay. What else are we trying to do here? Are we trying to implement a response cost? Are we removing earned reinforcement or current reinforcement for behavior? We're not. We're just simply teaching appropriate request, denying access to aggression. So what we're doing is we're really functionally communication training. We're teaching the client to more functionally communicate what they want. And so at the heart of this intervention is going to be FCT, or functional communication training. It isn't non-contingent reinforcement because reinforcement is contingent on appropriate request, and we're not punishing the client. We're using extinction. We're using a differential reinforcement procedure. Since that's not an option, what this is based on is going to be functional communication training. Teach the client to request appropriately using differential reinforcement. The toddler has started to take off her diaper in public places because it makes people laugh. Her mother is embarrassed, however, and has started to verbally reprimand the toddler for taking the diaper off. This has started to decrease the behavior. If the mother does not teach a replacement behavior, what is likely to occur if the verbal reprimands stop? Let's think about this question. First, what are we focused on? Well, we're focused on the verbal reprimands, and we want to know what happens if those verbal reprimands stop because the mother's not teaching a replacement. Current behavior is toddler taking off diaper in public. Mother does what? She reprimands toddler. As a result, behavior decreases. So we can conclude that verbal reprimands are functioning as punishment. They're punishing the toddler, which is decreasing taking diaper off. Now, when we use punishment, we want to teach replacement behaviors. And whenever we decrease behavior, we want to teach replacements. Why is that? Well, with punishment, one of the key things about punishment is it's not permanent. So, punishment, you can be resistant to punishment. You can build up a tolerance to punishment. And if you stop punishment and haven't taught a replacement, it's very likely the behavior that was being punished is going to come back because you still have to meet a need. So, if we're not teaching a replacement for taking diaper off and verbal reprimands stop, what is likely to happen? A, punishment-induced aggression. Well, we're stopping the punishment, right? So if we stop the punishment, punishment-induced aggression is unlikely to occur. There is no punishment. B, taking off the diaper will remain decreased. That is not the likely outcome because punishment has now stopped. Punishment is no longer occurring. What's likely to happen is C, taking off the diaper will likely increase. It's very likely we didn't teach a replacement. We stopped the punishment. Well, the function needs to be met, and so it's likely the behavior is going to come back. And then D, resurgence will occur. Why is D wrong? Well, resurgence is associated with extinction. If you're fluent, D is an automatic cross off. So what we're looking at here is a situation where we're punishing, we're not teaching replacement, we're withdrawing punishment. Therefore, the behavior that's being punished is very likely to come back. Tony is hitting the gym to get in shape for the summer. Tony wants to reduce the amount of time he spends in between sets of push-ups. Currently, Tony spends 1 minute resting between each set. What should Tony target if he wants to accomplish his goal? All right, pretty straightforward measurement question. What is Tony trying to accomplish? Let's start there with measurement. Well, he wants to reduce time in between sets of push-ups. So let's say we have push-up 1 and push-up 2. We have this time. Tony wants to reduce this time. Now, if we draw it out like that, we can pretty quickly identify the measurement, right? Because what we have is time in between these two responses. And when we want to look at time in between two responses, what is currently 1 minute, what would we consider that? A, latency. Well, latency would be the SD to the response. This would be our latency. We're focused on this set, which is time in between responses, which, another way to put it, is B into response time. Tony wants to target into response time, time in between responses. What about C, duration? Duration would be how long it takes him to do a set of push-ups. We're looking at time in between. Latency and into response time measure time in between. And then frequency, how many push-ups? Tony's not measuring how many push-ups. He's measuring how long he's resting between sets of push-ups. So if Tony wants to accomplish his goal, he's looking at B into response time. Very easy question. You're going to have easy questions on the exam. When you get an easy question, answer it, get it right, move on. Don't overthink it. Just trust your preparation, answer it, and move on. Thank you for watching. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass your exam, please let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. As always, subscribe if you aren't. Work hard, study hard. We'll see you soon.